The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. It's important that people wake up to what is going on. It's time that we read the Constitution. It is error that needs the support of government. Truth can stand alone. That was given to us by Thomas Jefferson. Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Hapney and this is The Real Story. For those of you who missed a show or whatever, we got some good shows coming for you. We got good things for you. Just sit back and relax and take all this information in. And after you get scared, take a deep breath and realize there's men out there. You can fight this. You can save the Republic. So what do we have for you this week? I want to start off with a quote. I like this quote a lot, and I wanted you to get, and this is from, well, I'll tell you after I read it. Listen to the quote, and then we'll go over who said it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the guy. Today we need a nation of Minutemen, citizens who are not only prepared to take up arms, but citizens who regard the preservation of freedom as a basic purpose to their daily life, and who are willing to consciously work and sacrifice for that freedom. The cause of liberty, the cause of America, cannot succeed with any lesser effort. January 29th, that was John Fitzgerald Kennedy in 1961. I thought that was important because of all the past presidents and stuff, why was that one assassinated? What did Kennedy do that made him earn a bullet? We were told, as viewers, we were told, lone gunman, just a kook, a nut. This guy, Oswald. And then we find out later, Oswald worked at a CIA base. At a U-2 base, that's the aircraft that Francis Gary Powers flew over Russia, took pictures, right? U-2 base. But Oswald, run by the CIA anyway. Oswald worked at a U-2 base. Oswald was supposedly over in Russia, all these stories about this guy Oswald. And he supposedly shot a target where the target was going away from him through a tree. Well, anybody who thinks differently, they were told that must be a conspiracy. But it's interesting because Kennedy brought us these. And hopefully you get a good view of them. I've got two of them this time. I used to just show you the $2, but now I have a 5 and a 2. And why these are important. What's so important about these is these are not Federal Reserve notes. No. These are United States notes. Remember John Fitzgerald Kennedy, with Executive Order 11,110, authorized the creation, the printing, and the use of United States notes. In so doing, he went against who? He went against that private banking cartel we know as the Federal Reserve System. When I say private, they're not public, and they're not part of our government. System, doesn't that sound good? Federal, they're not federal. So why would a private banking cartel use a name or a set of names that makes you believe one thing, but it's not true? So John Fitzgerald Kennedy in 1963, with Executive Order 11,110, with that executive order, he created currency that he didn't have to borrow money for. We had another president who did that. His name was Abraham Lincoln. These two presidents went against the banking elites. And what did we learn? We learned that they died of lead poisoning. We were told lone gunman, just a nut. It's like the story of terrorists now and stuff. When you dig behind the scenes, you go, wait a minute, why are these terrorists affiliated with what? The people who always do terrorism, like the Cocaine Importation Agency, the CIA. We'll save that for another show. But why I want to start the quote this way is because if you understand John Fitzgerald Kennedy, what he was saying there, and what they quoted him as saying and stuff, is that, yeah, it takes effort. Like everything else in life. If you want something good, you usually have to work for it. He was talking about freedom and liberty. So a little thought for you, start the show off. So you know a little bit about our history, a little bit about our monetary history. By the way, he created that currency based on the reserves we had of silver in Fort Knox, which back then was $4.6 billion. That was a lot of money back then. Unlike today, where they've taken the value of your currency down to what? To pennies compared to then? It's sad because you probably remember all the banker bailouts, and I could mention Goldman Sachs and how they control all your regulatory firms, like the SEC, like the Commodities Exchange, okay, folks, like, gee, our Treasury secretaries have all been from there. You've heard it, you've heard of Larry Summers, the genius. It's sad and it's sickening how much we've allowed criminals to infiltrate our government, and is making a criminal government out of what was the greatest governing system on the planet. We as a republic, not a democracy, okay, where we used to guarantee people's rights, like freedom of speech. We'll cover that in another show. But for you viewers out there, what has changed? What's going on? So we'll go over a little bit of news, and we're going to give you a little bit of clips. When I say clips, first off, news for you, just some economic stuff, because we had, once again, money. This was money based on a tangible item. See, you can't print silver, can you? Boy, and you can't print gold. Wonder why the value of, commodities, whether it be copper, silver, gold, are all rising. Is it that the dollar's falling? Did they do this to the Weimar Republic in Germany? Was this the same thing done to Argentina? How about to Russia? Should I mention Mexico? Where have you seen hyperinflation in the past? And did it bode well for those people when their currencies had no purchasing power? Are you prepared, you Sharon viewers? And you web viewers, are you prepared for when your currency has no purchasing power? Since we don't manufacture anything over here, and now we, the Americans, have to buy goods from foreigners, let alone foods from foreigners. We used to feed the world. But when our currency has no value, what's going to happen with the imports and the cost thereof? Now that we have government motors, GM. Yeah, tell me about a fascist state. We'll go into that in another one. But anyway, here's some news for you, We're going to go with, yes, true unemployment continues to rise. Now it's 17.5%, more than 1 in every 6 workers. This is the highest level since the Depression. Do you remember all the easy money, how they said borrow money, get a home equity mortgage? If you watch the earlier shows, we discussed money. Get a home equity mortgage, you were told few years ago. Go back 30 years, you know what they called that? They called that a second mortgage. Notice how they changed the names. And 30 years ago, if you had a second mortgage, that meant you were a loser. You couldn't handle your first mortgage. But now they told you, get in debt, get in debt, get in debt. What'd they tell you? 9/11, go shopping, go shopping, go shopping. And now what do? They pull the rug out from the American people. They ship all the manufacturing, all the work overseas. So what jobs are there here? Okay? They lower the lending rate so everybody and their brother borrows, thinking that, hey, money's so cheap. And then look what it's done to our economy. Take a look at Detroit. Here's some pictures about Detroit. The interesting thing with Detroit is, they had those auctions. They were auctioning off the property. And after 3 hours of nobody bidding on the property, the guy finally said, come on, we got another 300 pages of properties to sell. Properties in Detroit are going for less than $1,000 now. That's right, you can buy a house on a lot, on a street, in a lot, for less than $1,000. We used to be the manufacturing capital of the world. Now we can't do anything? That's because, remember Al Gore? He was selling us what? He sold us that NAFTA thing, didn't he? I could show you some clips of it, but we'll go back to it at some point. But once again, that was Al Gore, the guy who invented the internet. Tell that to DARPA. But it's funny because now Al Gore is selling you global warming. And he's selling you global warming how? To tell you that it's a crisis. Well, here's a little clip where the founder of the Weather Channel and 30,000 scientists, 9,000 PhDs, are suing Al Gore.
My next guest wants to sue Al Gore for fraud. He hopes a legal challenge will settle the global warming debate once and for all. He's John Coleman, and he founded the Weather Channel. My favorite channel, has some of the hottest women there. And now he works as a weatherman for KUSI TV in San Diego. He knows warm fronts like I know cold cuts. So, John, why do you want to sue Al Gore?
Well, the deal is this, Greg. We have tried and tried and tried to get a debate on global warming with scientists on the other side. Al Gore or any of the scientists behind him over at the UN IPCC, we'd love to have a debate with them, but they say, oh no, the debate is over.
Yeah.
Well, now there are 30,000 of us. We have 30,000 scientists, 9,000 PhDs, who have signed up to debunk global warming. And they still won't listen to us. You realize that Fox is the only cable network that'll put us on the air. CNN won't. That other thing, MSNBC, it won't. CBS, ABC, NBC, they scoff at us. We can't get on the air. If it weren't for the internet, you wouldn't even know I existed.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The whole deal is that somehow we have to be heard. So we figure maybe a court of law.
Now, let me ask you, do you think, why hasn't Al responded to you? Is he scared, or is he just pretending you don't exist?
Well, I think he regards us as just a little gnat. After all, he's a former Vice President of the United States. He's got an Oscar. He's got a Grammy. He's got $100 million. He's got a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm going to scare him? I wish.